This is live from New Delhi. You're watching DT India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and coming up in the next hour, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi gets an unprecedented welcome on his arrival in Mauritius. His counterpart Naveen Ramgoolam and several key leaders receive him at the airport. Vladimir Zelensky leaves Saudi Arabia ahead of US-Ukraine meeting in Jeddah. And as US President Donald Trump eyes world's largest island, Greenland holds parliamentary polls. And global markets tank again amid fears that Trump's policies could plunge economy into a recession. Nasdaq suffers biggest one-day loss since 2022. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Mauritius capital Port Louis this morning on a two-day state visit. Prime Minister Modi landed in Mauritius to a grand and warm welcome. And in a special gesture, Mauritian Prime Minister Naveen Ramgoolam welcomed his India counterpart with a warm hug. There were around 200 dignitaries present to welcome Prime Minister Modi at an early hour, which included MPs, MLAs, diplomatic corps and some religious leaders as well. Prime Minister Modi was then also accorded a ceremonial welcome at the airport. He is there to attend the National Day celebrations as the chief guest on 12th of March. Prime Minister Modi also was accorded a rousing welcome on his arrival by the members of the Indian community amidst chants of Modi, Modi. In fact, a Bihari tradition welcomed Prime Minister Modi in Mauritius. He was welcomed by traditional Geet Gawai. Now, what is Geet Gawai? It's a traditional Bhojpuri musical ensemble that embodies the rich cultural heritage brought to Mauritius by the women from the Bhojpuri belt of India. In recognition of this cultural significance, Geet Gawai was also inscribed in UNESCO's representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity in December 2016. Prime Minister's visit to Mauritius comes right in the beginning of the fresh term of the office for Mauritius Prime Minister Ramgoolam and of Prime Minister Modi also into his third term of office. So the visit is indeed a very timely visit and will also enable both sides to take stock of bilateral ties and also provide orientation to the engagements in the coming months and years. Now let's take a look at what is on agenda of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Mauritius. One of the highlights of this visit is the Prime Minister being invited also as the chief guest for the National Day celebrations of Mauritius, which is going to take place on 12th of March. On the occasion of the National Day, a contingent of the Indian Defence Forces will participate in these celebrations. Prime Minister will visit Sir Sivo Sagar Ramgulam Botanical Garden to pay homage to Sir Sivo Sagar Ramgulam, who was the former Prime Minister and the founding father of Mauritius, and also Sir Anirudh Juggernaut, former President and former Prime Minister of Mauritius. And as far as the official engagements are concerned, Prime Minister will call on the new President of Mauritius, Dharamveer Gokul, and this will be followed by bilateral meetings with Prime Minister Ramgulam. It is expected that there will be meetings with other political leadership during the visit. Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Ramgulam will together then inaugurate few projects that have been implemented with Indian assistance, and will also witness the signing of several MOUs on cooperation in the field of capacity building, bilateral trade, tackling of cross-border financial crimes, and promoting small and medium enterprises. There will also be an interaction with the members of the Indian community, Friends of India, and socio-cultural organizations in Mauritius during the visit. So that's more or less as far as the elements of the visit are concerned, but some of the things that are also likely to happen during the visit. Let's quickly go across live to Port Louis, where DD India's Akshay Dongre has been stationed in the past 24 hours or more than that, Akshay. So Prime Minister has arrived, and first of all, explain to our viewers, why was the reception such an unprecedented and rare gesture? It seemed that the entire cabinet was there to receive Prime Minister Modi. This kind of reiterates the kind of significance Mauritius attaches to Prime Minister's this visit, and also the overall substantive component of the visit.
Well, Sakal, you rightly mentioned that it was an exceptional welcome of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and as you rightly mentioned, the relation between the two countries is an exceptionally close one. So let's talk about the reason why this is such a rare and such an exceptional relation between the two countries. Clearly, first of the reason is that the diaspora here, the Indian diaspora here in Mauritius comprises up to 70% of the population, which means that the majority of population of Mauritius is in fact, they do in fact trace their heritage, trace their origins back to Indian shores. In fact, it was in 1984 when the British authorities had banned slave labor. They started the indentured labor that in fact was called as the Great Experiment, which led to the world's largest ever migration that took place. So about 500,000 of these indentured laborers were brought in here to Mauritius with the sole purpose of sugarcane farming. But later on, about 2/3 of the population stayed on here. And then they were the people who in fact built this country from a tropical island to one of the world's most popular tourist destination as well. Hindi is spoken here, Bhojpuri is spoken here in Mauritius. Anywhere you go, if you want to interact, Hindi is one of the main spoken languages. In fact, even on the currency notes here or the sign direction signs, you will find Hindi everywhere in the country. So both the countries have had similar heritage, similar traditions and cultures. In fact, even in the museums here, you can find scriptures like Ramayana and Mahabharata that was brought in by the indentured laborers who were brought here for sugarcane farming. So historically, both the countries have a lot in common, and that's perhaps the reason why both the countries have been in close contact as far as the bilateral relations are concerned, as far as the trade is concerned, as well as security is concerned. So that both the historical aspect. But when you look at the past 10 years, especially the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he has given a lot of focus to a neighborhood first policy that has been appreciated in countries such as Mauritius. When you talk about the G20 summit that was hosted by India, India focused on global South and how the concerns of global South should be taken up on priority by the rest of the world leaders. And it was then the African Union was also included in the G20 membership, which includes Mauritius as well. So the last 10 years have seen a lot of geopolitical stances that have been taken by India, which have benefited Mauritius. There have been a lot of instances where India has in fact been the first responder to countries like Mauritius. You take example of COVID crisis. There are example of several cyclones that have hit Mauritius. There have been developmental projects that have been going on in Mauritius with the help of India as well. So all that has been possible under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and that perhaps is the reason why even more than ever the Mauritians feel closer to India, and that is why the kind of welcome that we saw Prime Minister Narendra Modi was given to him. Many of the people that we spoke to said that the arrival of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in fact feels like a family member coming back home.
You also had that exclusive conversation with the Foreign Minister of Mauritius. Explain to us the strategic significance that Mauritius attaches to this visit of Prime Minister Modi, especially the timings of it, for the fact that we do know there has been a continuity as far as the alignment and the convergences between India, Mauritius, irrespective of the ruling dispensation, but then a certain shift and more energized ties that we have seen in the last 10 years.
Well, absolutely. India is the residential power of Indian Ocean region. Mauritius is also a country that is in the Indian Ocean region, and that is the reason why both the countries have similar challenges when it comes to the maritime security. Both the countries have been impacted by the geopolitical tensions that have been there in the region, not just in the IOR region, but also the kind of threats that the world now sees to the freedom of trade, freedom of navigation, and that is why both the countries are expected to build closer network, closer ties, be it defense ties, be it trade ties, cultural or traditional ties, given the fact that Mauritius realizes that nobody is coming to save the global south. The countries will have to come together, they will have to form their own groupings and own economic relationships. And that's the reason why in the last 10 years, all of these moves that have been taken by India when it comes to the geopolitical actions, Mauritius does appreciate that. So you can see that the concerns are the same, the opportunities are the same,
right?
And there is a lot to learn from each other. Be it India, it has a lot to learn from Mauritius when it comes to tourism. When it comes to Mauritius, India has already given a $500 billion credit line and is expected to extend that credit line for further developmental projects.
Akshay, before I leave you,
projects and other projects as
yes, in 10 seconds, quick one on Prime Minister's itinerary for day one, quickly.
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to pay homage to the founding father of Mauritius, where he will be going and planting a tree with the Prime Minister of Mauritius, the current Prime Minister of Mauritius. Prime Minister is also going to attend a lunch hosted by the President of Mauritius. And then there will be a community event where the diaspora will converge to welcome Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And in the evening, there is a dinner that will be hosted by the Prime Minister of Mauritius, of Prime Minister Modi. So there is jam-packed bilateral engagement with the top leadership of Mauritius, which is expected to bring the two countries closer than ever before.
We'll leave it there. Many thanks, Akshay Dongre of TD India, for joining us live from St. Louis in Mauritius. And sharing pictures on the social media platform X, Prime Minister Modi wrote, and I quote, "Landed in Mauritius, I'm grateful to my friend Prime Minister Dr. Naveen Chandra Ramgoolam for the special gesture of the welcoming me at the airport. The visit is a wonderful opportunity to engage with a valued friend and explore new avenues for collaboration in various sectors. Today, I will be meeting President Dharam Gokul, Prime Minister Naveen Chandra Ramgoolam, and addressing a community program in the evening," unquote. After receiving warm welcome by the Indian diaspora, Prime Minister also wrote, and I quote again, "Deeply touched by the warm welcome from the Indian community in Mauritius. Their strong connection to the Indian heritage, culture and values is truly inspiring. This bond of history and heart continues to thrive across generations," unquote. Ganga Talao, also known as Grand Basin, is revered as Mauritius's most significant Hindu pilgrimage site, which symbolizes the Ganges River of India, or the Holy Ganga. The holy waters of Ganga Talao were infused with water from the Ganges River way back in 1972. The lake is surrounded by temples dedicated to Lord Shiva, Lord Ganesha and Lord Hanuman. The Shiva temple at Ganga Talao is believed to be the 13th Jyotirling, also known as Mauritius Ishwarnath Jyotirling. According to a local legend, it was established in 1897 by Pandit Jumman Giri. During the visit of India's President Draupadi Murmu to Mauritius in 2024, it was announced that the government of India will support the redevelopment of the Ganga Talao complex into a religious, cultural and tourist hub. DD India's Akshay Dongre spoke with the trustee and caretaker of the sacred lake in Mauritius on the significance of Ganga Talao.
We are currently at Ganga Talao in Mauritius, one of the most revered spiritual and religious sites. And to talk about how this place is significant, we also have Mr. Satish Dayal with us. Sir, thank you so much for speaking with us. There is a lot of interest as far as the Ganga Talao is concerned. Many people also consider the temple here as the 13th Jyotirlinga as well in India too. As the Prime Minister is arriving here in Mauritius, there is a lot of interest as far as India is concerned and in the world as well that these kind of places exist in Mauritius. So can you tell us about the significance of this Ganga Talao?
The Ganga Talao is a very important place, it's spiritually revered place as you mentioned it. It is a Tirthistan, a place of pilgrimage too. And recently it has been declared as a heritage, a spiritual heritage too. For the Hindu, it is a great symbol.
Right.
It is a great symbol because Ganga Talao is a sacred lake. In spite of being a sacred lake, it's a volcanic lake too. And it is a natural lake.
Right.
For Hindu, it is a great symbolism, this lake itself. The two things at Ganga Talao is very important. One is the lake itself. Secondly, the world 13th Jyotirlinga is here. The 12 Jyotirlinga in India, it is the only one which is outside India. And it is considered as the main temple of the country. And very often we used to experience miraculous happenings. And the temple is very, very famous all throughout the world.
You heard all the significance of this Ganga Talao and like Mr. Dayal has explained to us in so many words that how special and pious this lake is and how Mauritius is perhaps the only country outside India that has a Jyotirlinga as well. With camera person Ajit Kumar, I'm Akshay Dongre, DD India.
We slip into a short break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us on DD India.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Sakal Bhatt. Now let's shift focus to some other lead stories also on this broadcast. US Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard will visit India soon, sharing a post on social media platform X. Gabbard stated, and I quote, "I am on a multinational trip to the Indo-Pacific region I know very well, having grown up as a child of the Pacific. I will be going to Japan, Thailand and India with a brief stop in France en route back to DC. Gabbard stated that her first stop was in Honolulu. She called building strong relationships, understandings and open lines of communication vital to achieving US President Donald Trump's objectives of peace, freedom and prosperity. In fact, this is the first visit by a top White House official to India under the Trump administration. Her visit to India follows Prime Minister Modi's visit to the US in February. During his visit, Prime Minister Modi met with Tulsi Gabbard and called her a strong votary of the India-US friendship. Gabbard also called it an honor to welcome Prime Minister Modi and said she looks forward to continue strengthening the India-US relationship. Well, world will be anxiously following the high-stakes diplomatic talks between US and Ukraine slated for today in Jeddah. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and US Secretary of State Marco Rubio have both held separate meetings with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman ahead of the key discussions on Ukraine's future. More details in this report.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit is seen as a crucial diplomatic efforts to secure international support for Ukraine in the ongoing conflict with Russia. In his discussions with the Crown Prince Mohammed, Zelensky emphasized the importance of security guarantees for his country. He also said on the social media platform X that the Ukrainian delegation remains in Jeddah to work with the US team on Tuesday, and its position in these talks will be fully constructive. He especially emphasized the issues of the release of prisoners and said that a significant part of the discussion was dedicated to the formats of the security guarantees. Meanwhile, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio addressed broader geopolitical issues, including promoting stability in Syria, confronting two Houthi threats in Yemen, and supporting Gaza's reconstruction. But all eyes remain on the upcoming Ukraine talks. The Ukrainian delegation, including Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha, Defense Minister Rustem Umerov, and President Zelensky's Chief of Staff Andriy Yermak, is set to meet US officials. These talks will mark the first official negotiations since the disastrous meeting between President Zelensky and US President Donald Trump in the White House. Moscow has responded cautiously, raising concerns over Ukraine's readiness for peace.
It is not important what we expect. It is important what United States expects. The world is watching to see whether the Kyiv regime is truly willing to make peace or not.
The future of Ukraine and the stability of the broader region hinges on the outcome of the discussions in Jeddah. All stakeholders will be anxiously following the outcome. Aarti Rana's report for DD India.
The Kurdish-led and US-backed Syrian Democratic Forces have signed a deal agreeing to integrate into Syria's new state institutions. The deal, which included a complete cessation of hostilities, was signed by interim Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara and the SDF's commander Mazloum Abidi. Under the deal, all civilian and military institutions in northeast Syria will be integrated within the state, which will thus take over control of borders, airports and oil and gas fields. The SDF agrees to support the government in combating remnants of deposed President Bashar al-Assad's regime and any threats to Syria's security and unity. Abdi had previously expressed a willingness for his forces to be part of the new defense ministry, but said they should join as a bloc rather than as individuals. Well, Greenland will be holding parliamentary elections today, with independence a key campaign theme after US President Donald Trump said that he wants control over the world's biggest island. Polling stations will open at 4:30 p.m. IST today and close at 3:30 a.m. IST March 12th. No exit polls will be conducted and results are expected between 6:30 a.m. IST and 8:30 a.m. IST on March 12th. Of the six parties running, only Nail Rock has promised to hold snap vote on independence, and all parties except for Atasut support secession. The vote comes at a time of the heightened international interest in Greenland, particularly after US President Donald Trump expressed a desire to acquire the island, underscoring its strategic and economic significance. Greenland's Prime Minister Mut Egre criticized Trump's remarks, stating the island deserves respect and will prioritize relations with nations that acknowledge its sovereignty. In his speech to Congress last week, Trump said that he would acquire Greenland one way or the other. And on Sunday, he attempted to appeal to Greenlanders directly by reiterating his invitation to join US and pledging to invest billions of dollars to create new jobs and make them more rich. Well, Greenland is a sparsely populated island and has caught global attention. Like I just mentioned, US President Donald Trump has set his eyes or ambitions on acquiring the mineral-rich country or mineral-rich territory from Denmark for economic and strategic purposes. Meanwhile, the indigenous identity is seeing a revival and call for independence is getting louder in Greenland. DD India's Shubhendu Ghosh brings us more.
We need Greenland for national security and even international security. And I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it.
US President Donald Trump's unambiguous interest in Greenland has shaken the status quo in the world's largest island this election season. Some see it as a historic opportunity to push for freedom from Danish influence, while others caution a rashly attained independence may make Greenland more vulnerable to the expansionist ambitions of the American president. Greenlanders vote in the general elections on March 11th. Greenland's parliament is called Inatsisartut. The parliament comprises 31 members and elections are held every 4 years. Greenland is not divided into electoral districts. The whole of Greenland constitutes a single constituencies. A total of 6 parties and 213 candidates are in the fray in these elections. At present, Greenland operates a semi-autonomous territory under the Kingdom of Denmark. Indigenous identity is seeing a revival in Greenland ahead of the elections. All the main parties support independence, but they differ on how and when it could be achieved. The ruling Inuit Ataqatigiit IA party, a left-wing faction headed by Prime Minister Mute Ege, advocates an unhurried approach to Greenland's independence. On the other hand, Greenland's largest opposition party, Nalerak, and its leader, Pelle Broberg, want to see a swift transition to full independence.
The idea, the vision of becoming independent and being here in our own house has been a long time coming. It has been going on for many decades. It is nothing new. It has not just happened.
I want to make it very clear that in the eyes of the Danish government, Greenland is for the Greenlandic people. It is a very proud people with its own language and culture. It is a people that is their own. And as the chairman of the government of Greenland has stated before, Greenland is not for sale.
In addition to the question of independence, the country's relations with Denmark and the US, social services, tourism, as well as its fragile fishing and Danish grants-dependent economy are the main voter concerns. As a country, Greenland would be the 12th largest in the world by area. It is also the least populated region with a population of around 57,000 scattered in a few coastal towns and remote settlements. Almost 80% of Greenland's landmass is covered by the ice sheet. The sparsely populated region is believed to hold billions of tons of untapped rare earth minerals and oil reserves. Greenland's strategic location and resources make it an attractive acquisition for the American president. US already has a military base in northwest of Greenland. The general elections are expected to reveal where and how the Greenlanders see their future. Shubhendu Ghosh's report for TD India.
The Constitutional Court is in hibernation mode ahead of the impending ruling on President Yoon Suk Yeol's impeachment, it seems. Those supporting impeachment began a hunger strike calling for Yoon's dismissal from office. Others protesting the move held a head-shaving ceremony and called for the president's reinstatement. Potential clashes between the two sides could occur on the day of the ruling. In preparation, the police have decided to encircle a 100-meter radius area around the Constitutional Court, which with a vehicle barricade on the day for handling crowd. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Coming up next, we get you the details on 32 dead in 2 separate bus crashes in Mexico, including a collision in Durango. And Vatican says Pope is responding well to the treatment. His health is improving. Extratropical cyclone Alpha triggers severe flooding and power outages in eastern Australia.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Goa, a wild nature paradise, where over a third of the state remains wild today, and every corner is full of surprises. Goa's forests evolve through the seasons. Insects and crocodiles flourish in the monsoon, butterflies in the months after the rains subside, and in the winter, the jungle transforms into a haven for birds.
Oh, there's a female right next to him. Oh my God, is that 8 otters? That's one of my favorite things about these forests. There are still so many secrets out there.
Watch postcards from Goa on National Geographic.
Welcome to Jaipur.
You're watching TTT News Hour. I'm Sakal Bhatt. Let's move on to more news now. The jet A1 fuel leak in the North Sea after a collision of US tanker and cargo vessel has sparked global environmental concerns, with experts warning that it could lead to a devastating effect on marine life and ecosystem. DD India's Yashasvi brings you the report.
A tanker carrying jet fuel for the US military collided with a container ship off northeast England on Monday, sparking a massive blaze and multiple explosions. The incident forced both crews to abandon ship. 36 crew members were rescued and one taken to hospital. The tanker, Stena Immaculate, was carrying around 220,000 barrels of jet fuel, while the container ship, Solong, had 15 containers of sodium cyanide on board. The collision ruptured the tanker's cargo tank, releasing fuel into the sea and raising concerns about environmental harm, particularly to protected seabird colonies and marine life. All vessel movements were suspended in the vicinity, and Germany dispatched a vessel for firefighting and oil recovery.
The problem with this sort of spill is that it will evaporate, but also it makes it more dangerous in terms of likely explosions. So, it has to be dealt with very carefully. I think it's highly unlikely it's going to explode when it hits the coast, but it will cause pollution incidents along the coast.
The incident has sparked concerns about multiple toxic hazards and environmental harm, as Jet A1 fuel is highly flammable and toxic. The UK Coast Guard ended the search for the missing crew member after an extensive search. Collisions remain rare in the busy North Sea, but this incident highlights the importance of maritime safety and environmental protection. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, in Mexico, at least 32 people were killed on Monday in 2 separate bus crashes. At least 18 were killed in southern Oaxaca state when a bus turned over a longer highway, while 14 people died in the country's north in a collision between the tractor-trailer and bus carrying passengers from U.S. state of Texas. Of the 24 people traveling in the bus, only 10 managed to get out alive. Authorities are investigating both accidents, which highlights issues like high speeds, poor road conditions and driver fatigue in Mexico. The Vatican announced on Monday that Pope Francis' health is improving and his life is no longer at risk. The 88-year-old Pope was hospitalized on February 14th with bronchitis, which developed into pneumonia in both lungs. Despite experiencing breathing difficulties, it sparked global concerns, including a recent crisis on March 3rd. The Pope has shown steady improvement over the past week. The Vatican states that his prognosis is no longer uncertain, but he will require continued hospital treatment for several days due to the complexity of his condition and severe infection. Once his treatment is completed, it is expected that he will be able to return home. Guatemalan authorities have evacuated around 1,000 people after Central America's most active volcano erupted, spewing lava, ash and rocks. Around 30,000 people were potentially at risk and should evacuate themselves if necessary. Authorities have urged them to evacuate if necessary. The volcano's eruption has caused widespread damage, with ash and lava flows affecting nearby communities. The Guatemalan government has declared a state of emergency in the affected areas and rescue efforts are ongoing. Extratropical cyclone Alfred has brought severe weather conditions to eastern Australia, causing widespread flooding with over 120,000 homes and business currently without power. Emergency crews rescue people stranded in floodwaters. The heavy rainfall has bloated rivers, inundating many parts of the east coast, particularly in southeast Queensland and northeast New South Wales. The Australian weather authorities have issued flood warnings, with rivers expected to continue rising throughout the day. Japan marked 14 years on Tuesday since devastating earthquake and tsunami rocked the country's northeast and triggered a nuclear crisis. People across Japan observing the moment of silence and prayer for the victims when the magnitude 9.0 tremor struck off the Pacific coast, leading to the death of over 22,000. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba is scheduled to attend a memorial service hosted by Fukushima Prefecture, where the crippled Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power complex is located. Where the triple disaster struck 14 years ago, scores of people were forced from their homes. The disaster-prone nation has since taken steps to be better prepared for natural calamities, including the handling of evacuations and rebuild the affected areas. Where there has been progress in the recovery of Fukushima and the other two hardest hit prefectures of Miyagi and Iwate, about 28,000 people remain displaced across the nation, and areas in 7 municipalities in Fukushima are still designated as off limits due to radiation. Well, sky gazers are in for a treat as the first lunar eclipse of 2025 is set to take place this week, coinciding with the festival of colours that is Holi. On 14th of March, a total lunar eclipse will occur, turning the moon a deep red shade, which is why it's called a blood moon. Interestingly, this year the blood moon has a special connection with Holi, the festival of colours. During this eclipse, the moon will pass into Earth's shadow and gradually change color from grey to pink, then to orange and finally to red. The lunar eclipse is completely safe to watch with the naked eye. The best view will be North and South America, where the eclipse will be fully visible. However, people in Europe, in Africa and Asia will only get to see a partial eclipse. Early blooming cherry blossom festivals attracted many visitors in central Japan. Many visitors enjoyed the final day of the cherry blossom festival, featuring an early blooming variety, Kawazu Zakura, in a town in central Japan on Sunday. The view of the roughly 800 cherry trees planted along the Kawazu River is famous sightseeing spot. Tourists were seen enjoying strolling on the cherry tree promenade and taking photos of the bright pink flowers. Well, at the Game Center in Mongolia, children have engaged in interactive activities that encourage teamwork, problem solving and creative thinking. And by playing traditional Mongolian board games, they develop essential cognitive skills such as strategy and critical thinking. This hands-on approach to learning helps them break free from the isolating effects of screen time and fosters deeper social connections to promote movement, creativity and mental stimulation. And now let's take a look at the other stories making news around the world. In the scenic port city of Choshi near Tokyo, Miyazawa Masaki keeps a 200-year-old tradition alive. His colorful Maiwashiki terracotta flags, once good luck charms for fishermen, are now treasured as spring gifts for milestones like graduations or marriages. Using rice glue and skillful brushwork, Miyazawa pours heart and precision into every flag as he hopes to pass the cherished craft to the next generation. These vibrant flags carry both history and celebration into the future. Inspired by her frustration with the lack of female artists on record shop shelves, Lauren Carter from Hobart, Australia, created a haven for women-led music. With the support of her family, her shop exclusively stocks works by female solo artists and female-led bands. Amid a male-dominated industry, Carter's mission elevates women's voices, celebrating their talent and ensuring they are heard. It's a revolution, one record at a time. Vietnam is shining on the global cinema stage as Hollywood selects iconic locations like Cat Ba and Ninh Binh for a major production. With government-backed policies supporting filmmakers, Vietnam is set to become global filmmaking hub. This initiative boosts tourism, aims to attract 22 to 23 million international visitors while showcasing Vietnam's beauty and potential as a world-class filming destination. And we slip into a short break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
watching DD India News Hour. I'm Sakal Bhatt. Now let's get you some more news, especially from the world of business, where the world markets tumbled on Monday on fears of an impending US recession. Experts are sounding out that the prospect of a recession in the US is lurking large, and with consumer confidence falling and companies facing increasing trade complexity, investors are turning more nervous and market spending jitters to signal its apparent unease.
Are the policies of US President Donald Trump pushing the US economy to the recession quagmire? At least 70 out of 74 economists in US, Canada and Mexico contacted by Newswire services Reuters think so. So do the experts at many financial firms at the Wall Street. And the markets may have just given a stinging reminder. Global markets slumped on Monday, with Wall Street logging sharp losses over fears of recession. Uncertainty over Trump's tariffs and threats have left U.S. financial markets in turmoil and consumers unsure of what the year might bring. Nasdaq Composite Index plummeted by 4.0%. The S&P 500 was down 2.7%, both seeing worst days since 2022. The S&P 1500 Super Composite Index, one of the widest measures of the U.S. stock market, has lost nearly $4.9 trillion in value since its record high in mid-February. The Nasdaq was bogged down by retreats in tech stocks, including Google parent Alphabet, Apple, Amazon, Meta, and Nvidia. Tesla, led by Trump's billionaire advisor Elon Musk, closed more than 15% down. While markets were previously bolstered by hopes of tax cuts and lighter regulation, immediate worries over tariffs has clouded every other factor, adding fuel to the raging fire's heavy job cuts being implemented by Elon Musk and his Doge team. Beijing's retaliatory duties on certain U.S. agricultural goods came into force on Monday after Chinese products were hit with additional 20% U.S. tariffs. Trump, in a Fox News interview aired over the weekend, declined to predict whether his economic policies would cause a recession. A new wave threatens to arrive this week, with steep levies of 25% on steel and aluminium imports due to take effect on Wednesday. Bureau Report, DD India.
Elon Musk claimed on Monday afternoon that X was targeted in a massive cyber attack that resulted in the intermittent service outages that had brought down his social network throughout the day. The cyber attack impacted thousands of users in the US and UK, with owner Musk blaming an unusually powerful cyber attack. Here's more.
Billionaire and Department of Government Efficiency Chief Elon Musk's social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, experienced massive outages throughout Monday morning that impacted thousands of users in Asia, Europe, and North America. The platform monitor, Down Detector, said it had seen tens of thousands of reports from US users of technical issues affecting the platform. Musk said in an interview that a massive cyber attack has hit his X social media platform, and the cyber attack came from IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
We're not sure exactly what happened, but there was a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
But the SpaceX and Tesla boss, who has been a frequent critic of Ukraine and its President Volodymyr Zelensky, offered no evidence to support the claim and did not say whether or not he thought state actors were involved. Musk also blamed a cyber attack, although he provided no evidence for crashing the site last year when an interview with Donald Trump was about to be streamed. Well, Musk bought Twitter for $44 billion in late 2022. Under his ownership, the platform has experienced technical issues repeatedly. Anamika Pandey, DD India.
England's Henry Brook has withdrawn from the Indian Premier League or IPL 2025 for the second straight season, a move which could lead to the suspension for 2 years from the government. Brooke apologized to the Delhi Capitals franchise and its supporters on social media, stressing that playing for England remains his top priority and focus. Brooke is one of the favourites, along with England Test captain Ben Stokes, to replace Joe Butler and the white ball captain. Butler resigned from the post following its group stage elimination at the Champions Trophy. The IPL Governing Council has introduced a new rule stating that if a player makes himself unavailable after being picked in the auction, he will be banned for 2 seasons. More sports news. Harmanpreet Kaur's fluent half-ton was backed by an exceptional bowling performance as Mumbai Indians beat Gujarat Giants by 9 runs to strengthen their chances of finishing on top of the Women's Premier League on Monday. Harmanpreet showcased her class as she slammed 9 boundaries to score 54 of 33 deliveries and anchor Mumbai to a competitive total of 179 for 6. The bowlers then took over with super performances from Shabnam Ismail and Amelia Kerr as Mumbai Indians bowled Gujarat Giants out for 170 in 20 overs despite a whirlwind 25 ball 61 by Bharti Fulmali. With this win, Mumbai has joined Delhi Capitals at 10 points but still stay at second position due to a lower net run rate. The Jaipur Polo Ground in New Delhi is all set to host the BMC Advisors Northern India Polo Championship from Tuesday. Players from many countries of the world along with many ambassadors will be seen at the week-long tournament. Take a look.
New Delhi's Jaipur Polo Ground is all set to host the BMC Advisors Northern India Polo Championship on Tuesday. Earlier, during a press event, the tournament trophy and the jerseys of the teams participating in the competition were unveiled. On this occasion, BJP MP and Jindal Panthers player Naveen Jindal said that this time there is an atmosphere of enthusiasm among the players for the tournament.
Northern India Polo Championship अभी इस हफ्ते चलेगा, होगा, इसके मैचेस होंगे और ये जो है भारत का जो सबसे उच्च स्तरीय जो पोलो चैंपियनशिप है ये वो है और हमारी टीम जिंदल पैंथर टीम भी इसके अंदर हिस्सा ले रही है.
Players from many countries of the world will also be seen on the field in this tournament. Argentina's ambassador Mariano Casino believes that exciting games will be seen in the championship.
We are very happy that this opportunity of attending this polo championship, in which I am always very happy and glad to observe the recognition that the Indian people have for the polo tradition in Argentina regarding the horses and the best players in the world.
Speaking at the event, Ambassador of Paraguay to India, Fleming Duarte, said he looks forward to the tournament.
I know that India also is very much close to Argentina, where the good horses are coming from. So I started to go to polo 3 to 4 years ago, thanks to my friend Brijesh Mathur. And I believe that Indian polo is very competitive. You have a great performers in this particular sport. I believe that India must be amongst the top 5 in the world.
Teams are all set for the exciting matches that will be played between Jindal Panthers, Crystal Jindal, Achievers and Jaipur Delta at the BMC Advisors Northern India Polo Championship. The final match of the tournament will be played on March 16th. Sushil Kumar's report for DD India.
That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. That's the QR code on your screen for you to scan it and download it, and we will be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live. My colleague Deepika is going to join you after a short breather. Stay with us.